act up over the next 22 minutes. It's always a gamble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Chico, they love to interrupt you.
They do. Maggie has seen it. It's pretty much every other meeting I'm in with Maggie, they start barking, and I just, because nothing you can do to stop them. It's just, it's a thing. It's a leaf blew across the driveway. Quick bark at it. It's an intruder.
Yeah. They all set them up so it's delivered on the day of presenting, and just hope.
Yeah. All right, everyone, we'll just give it another minute. We're starting to get a lot of people filing in. This is very exciting. So we'll get started 2 more minutes.
Chico, I like having you online. I've been doing the countdown all day. It's a nice break for me, and you're very good at it.
Absolutely.
Well, this
is also fun. Everyone gets to hear the banter. They don't usually get this in the physical sessions, right? We're usually up on stage, demiked, and waiting for things to start. So
yeah, this is what we talk about.
Maggie, it seems like you were in a ton of sessions.
Yeah, it's been really good. So Ryan Pacchini, I'm sure any of the attendees who are in the crowd have seen a lot of Ryan. He's my counterpart in the Drupal cloud. So we've kind of taken half and half of the sessions here. It's been a lot of fun.
You're going to be ready for a day off after this.
Oh yeah. I know. I do miss though being, in person with everyone. I have to say, bummed we couldn't all be together, but it's nice to, see everyone participating in the chat and kind of getting that exposure. And the networking rooms have been awesome. I actually went to the Drupal Association booth during one of my breaks, and it was just really cool to see everyone just kind of like popping in and out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely check it out. All of the partner booths and the Drupal Cloud and Marketing Cloud booths have these little live Zoom rooms, which is really fun. All right. Yeah, we're right at the top of the hour. Thanks, Chico, for keeping me honest. Cool. So thank you, everyone, for joining. I know that some of you are still filing in. For those of you who are just joining us, you're joining the Meet the Pilot Driving Acquia Cloud Forward. And our hint here is that it's Kubernetes-native. Super cool stuff we're going to be talking about. If you haven't come to one of my sessions yet, my name is Maggie Schroeder. I'm a senior product manager here at Acquia. And without further ado, we do have a pretty packed agenda, although it's only 3 things, a lot of content to walk you through. So we're going to be first walking through, why does scale matter and what does scale mean, right? It can mean different things. It's definitely become a word that we hear a lot in today's day and age. So we're going to do a little bit of discussion about why it matters, what it means. Then we're going to let our special guests from Stanford walk you through how they scaled to 280 sites in just 7 months. And then finally, we're going to pass it over to Chico, one of our product managers here at Aqua, to walk you through what is Cloud Next. But first, let's go through some introductions. So Sarah, I'll pass it over to you if you'd like to give a short introduction.
Sure, yeah. I'm Sarah Warlberg. I'm the director of the Stanford Web Services team. We are the in-house web design and development team that's part of Stanford University. And I've been doing higher education work since 2001, previously with the University of Chicago, and working in Drupal for almost that entire time, maybe 12 years or so. And I'm here with my colleague, Shay McKinney.
Perfect. Shay, over to you.
I was very lucky by Sarah back in 2013. I've been working in Drupal for a decade and a half now, I think. I started on 4.7 early on, but I was brought in. No, I know. He goes, things will change. But it was great, and it really attracted me. I really liked Drupal, and I became a developer really quickly. I love working with it, and I came on to Stanford Web Services. It was a much smaller team at the time, and I've been with them ever since, helped them grow practices, standards, and establish what we work on today. The couple of things that we're talking about today are Sites platform and our design system as well.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jay. Perfect. And then Chico, last but not least.
So I'm Chico. I'm the product lead on Aquariacloud. I've been with Acquia since 2011. I actually started off on our support team. I've done a little bit of everything since. I've worked on remote administration. I've worked on Acquia's monitoring and automation services, our UIs, our APIs, Site Factory, Core Cloud, and also running the Acquia Cloud rebuild with Kubernetes. So I've done just about everything, and I'm excited to talk more about my pet project for the past couple of years, which is Aquariacloud Next.
Awesome. Thanks, Chico. Great. And so, I mean, you just heard from all three of our participants today. Between the three of them, just years of experience delivering sites. So I want to really let them lead this conversation. So I figured I'd open up with a little bit of a panel here. Chico, I'm going to just start with you, so then we can flow right into Stanford's presentation. But, the questions are on the screen, but I'd love to hear, from your perspective, Chico, working at Acquia for almost a decade here, right? What does scale mean, and why does it matter, would you say, to the customers that you've interacted with over the past, again, almost 10 years?
Well, scale is one of those things that, it's, am I ready for success? Am I ready for traffic? Am I ready for an attack, right? Do I have the ability to grow and absorb the things that are legitimate? And do I have the ability to block the things that aren't? And maintain a healthy web presence? It impacts brand reputation. It impacts, e-commerce and financials and so many things. So, while there are always ways to build sites quickly, it doesn't always necessarily mean that you're building a site securely or building a site that can scale to meet traffic demands for the site, or at least in an insulated fashion. So what scale means is, can you absorb the traffic that your site gets, whether it's developers uploading files, e-commerce, uploading content, how many editors are running concurrently, or how much traffic is hitting your site when a major event happens, right? All of those things translate into scale. And why it matters is, we have an expression at Aqua: we don't want your best day to become your worst day. On the day when you release those, SEC filings, or you get, I don't know what a modern show is. I was going to say Oprah, but that dates me. If your show shows on CNN or whatever, like, you don't want that traffic to all go to your site and then the site goes down, or the site slows down, or you release this major new product and suddenly no one can buy it because the application's having issues, or there's an attack and suddenly your university is not available, right? None of these things are good for the brand. They're not good for you, as a developer and IT administrator. So it's all about insulation and protection so that you can ensure your success.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Chico. I think that's awesome. I mean, especially, we've seen, especially over the past few years, right, preparing for an attack. I love that you made that point, because that's something that maybe you don't initially think about that when it comes to scale, but you need that capacity to handle that should that day ever come for you. So great call out there. So with that, I'd love to pose the same question. Sarah, maybe over to you first to kind of give your perspective on what scale means to you and why it matters for Stanford as well.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, in my role as the director of the Stanford Web Services team, scale kind of means two things to me. It means not only kind of what Chico was sharing in terms of the responsiveness of the sites that we're serving to the community, but it's also about our ability to serve more of those sites to our internal customers at the university. Our team was created because there was an absence of a central platform at Stanford prior to our team being created in 2011. So all of those schools, all of those departments, they were creating their own websites, and they were creating all the code from the ground up themselves. They were having to figure out hosting themselves. It was a slow, laborious process. And when you're reinventing the wheel over and over like that, you're creating costs for the university that really are inappropriate costs. We want the money at the university to go into research, teaching, learning, healthcare. We don't want it to go into reinventing the same wheel over and over again. So when we were created as a team with the support of our provost in 2011, it was in part to reduce the costs of development at the university and provide a higher level of support to our university. But it was also to create a platform that allowed us to scale faster, because anytime a new faculty member is hired at the university, n number of research projects come out of that. Every single one of them needs a website. Every one of them needs a way to communicate with their students, to communicate to prospective students, to communicate the results of their research to the outside world. And everything is on the internet, certainly these days, but even 10 years ago when we first started. So scale is not just about the responsiveness, it's also how we can serve that product to the university and do so in a way that keeps our costs low. So we created Stanford Sites, and we created that pretty early. It was at 2012, I think, when we actually launched the Drupal 6 version of it, and then the Drupal 7 version. And we were running our own hardware, and we were serving up, you know, hundreds of sites and pushing out updates across this hardware-based infrastructure. And we had limitations. Our ability to move quickly and our ability to manage the traffic to those sites was limited by what we could do on the hardware and by the size of the team that it took. So there were times when pushing out updates took 2 or 3 days across that platform. So moving to the cloud allowed us to scale by moving more quickly and saving our team time in managing the platform itself. Not to mention the sites were so much more performant. So scale really is across the board, means a lot of different things.
Yeah, I think Sarah touched upon a really important thing, Maggie, which is, you know, that we don't think about often enough, which is the scale of the organization, right? I mean, I've spoken to dozens of customers at this point, especially the heads of IT and everything, who say, you know, I'm responsible for, you know, hundreds of brands, or I'm responsible for hundreds of colleges and organizations across the university, or hundreds of branches of a bank or whatever. And, you know, if everyone is off creating their own websites and 17 different solutions, some of them custom code, what happens when there's a security vulnerability? What happens when the brand changes? What happens when XYZ? Like, especially nowadays, as the needs grow for security and compliance and efficiency, but the budgets for development teams are shrinking, you have to be able to scale as an organization and standardize as much as possible. But that's a topic for a different day.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love that call out. And Sarah, I also loved how you weaved back in right at the end of the day. It's all about making sure that budget's being allocated to what really matters, is to the students and, you know, to the faculty, to the research, and really giving back. So I loved that connection as well. And so finally, I'll pass it over to Shay. Shay, if you want to share, you know, your 10 cents on scale as well.
Yeah, I just want to ditto it really does have impact not only at your organization, but for the people that are building as well. So I focus a lot in my team and the individuals I'm working with and helping them do more with less. A lot of times mean do more with less that's out there. And that has real world impact, as we are able to support thousands of websites. And like Sarah was saying, these are faculty, these are researchers, these are end products. They have real world impact, things that are changing the world. They're research. If you don't know, there are a lot smarter people than us there at Stanford are doing things, and they need to efficiently and timely. And webs and websites are a great way of doing that. So we can help empower them by having things that are scaling for traffic, for attacks, for brand accessibility, and everything else that they don't have to worry about. So it's be able to get the message out.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Shay and Sarah and Chico for all sharing. I think without further ado, though, I'd love to, and I had to stop myself from spoiling the Sites at Scale story you guys have here. So I'll pass it over to Sarah, you and Shay to walk us through the Stanford story.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'll kick us off just by saying that the 280 sites that we've spun up in the last 7 months, those are just our Drupal 8 sites. We actually have quite a few more Drupal 7 sites. It's the eternal struggle that everyone has of how do you, once you've built such a successful environment using a fantastic platform like Drupal 7, how do you leverage that and move up into Drupal 8? So we'll talk a little bit about that story, but I'm going to let Shay take the first pass to set the stage.
And sort of right on the top where we were talking about scaling and not just the infrastructure itself, but on the people around it. So I like to talk about a little bit of our design system that we have here called the Cantor. So when our infrastructure scales, we get time to focus on other scaling challenges. And at Stanford, we've got 2 major open source products that are our secret for our ability to scale. I'll start with the Cantor. As you can see, it's our design system for our front-end digital experiences. We first built it in 2017, and it now includes the resources to stay consistent with Stanford branding guidelines and usability best practices. So we poured a lot of time and effort into ensuring we're on point and accessible for everybody. It is not CMS specific. It's used out of the box by any developer to save time through our established base styles, along with some of our reusable components. And it's also reusable by designers to rapidly prototype and articulate new ideas in Figma. So for those that know, it's our design tool system out there. So you might use Sketch or other things like that, but it's great. Decanter can be found as an open source project on GitHub and NPM. It can also be used for non-Stanford products, but you can't use the identity components within. Sorry. And so we use Decanter in our products, so in both Drupal and WordPress, and soon a headless option that we are building with Gatsby. So that's pretty cool. So we're getting into the React world as well. So in Drupal, we have tightly coupled Decanter into component library and a base theme, and that can be used by any Drupal website and common platform. On. It also allows other teams at Stanford to benefit from our work. Having a common set of front-end tools helps us solve the designer-developer resource scalability issue when our infrastructure and project demands grow. It also solves the shareability issue where our teams build things differently and independently of one another. Decisions, knowledge, and improvements cascade out to everyone and everything that is using and working together and speaking the same language. So when we make an improvement in Decanter, all of our people, projects, and sites get those improvements. So they all cascade down. I can thank the Drupal community for lessons learned. So spending a long time with the community really does help. So when our infrastructure scales, and along with our design and development resources, your organization can support a very large list of projects with a modest team.
So I'll take the next slide if you don't mind. Thank you. So I want to tie back to something that Shay said. He deserves a lot of the credit for creating Stanford Decanter alongside our senior designer, Carrie Augenstein. It was a little bit of a Skunksworks project for our team early on, where they said, hey, we see some potential in creating a pattern library that would make our development faster. And Shay knows that the magic words for me as a director is, if something can go faster, it's probably going to get a green light, right? That's going to help us to scale and do more for the university. And that the code in Decanter, it benefits all websites that we build in Stanford Web Services using our second open source product, which is Stanford Sites Drupal. But it also benefits all the other organizations at the university that choose to use that pattern library or components from it in their projects. So that's another way that open source is really helping us to scale within the university itself. And hopefully to drive down the costs and drive up the usability and consistency of all Stanford's digital experiences, regardless of if they're maintained by our team or by one of our sister teams at the university. So for our second open source product, Stanford Sites Drupal, it's very near and dear to our hearts. This is what we built in Drupal 6 and 7 back in 2011, 2012. On our internal hardware. We partnered with Acquia in 2018. We selected Acquia to be our preferred cloud vendor to help us move the Stanford Sites platform off of our hardware-based infrastructure and onto Aquariacloud Site Factory. Which year we had at that time 2,700 Drupal 7 websites, and we moved them off premises into the Site Factory, and in the course of doing so, really had the opportunity to re-architect, clean up the code, make things more consistent. And the result was we really gained the performance and the security benefits of that managed cloud environment, working very closely with our Acquia TAM and our support team. And that new service offered a way for those site owners to very quickly spin up a new Drupal website. Gave us that ability to run regular security maintenance, do things a little bit more quickly than we had been, and have monitoring be handled for those site owners by UIT and by Acquia's global support team, which really gave us that huge time savings, both for ourselves and for the university website owners who didn't have to do that. So in 2019, we started leveling up to Drupal 8. It took us about a year to conceptualize, design, develop version 1 of the product, which we then pushed out in February of 2020. About every 6 to 8 weeks, we roll out upgrades and new features. We released it late February, and mid-March was when the university really faced its major challenge of going to shelter in place. So we went to distance learning as a university for the first time in Stanford's history, which is really an unprecedented challenge for the university. But it put an unforeseen spotlight on Stanford Sites as a platform, because it became a solution where departments could very quickly create a Stanford branded website to communicate to our faculty, students, and staff who were having to make that transition to distance learning with really zero notice. So it was great to see it put through its paces so quickly and rise to that occasion, and it has given us really good reason to press forward and develop new features that those departments are looking for at this time. So by the numbers, we have 2,800 Drupal 7 sites on Site Factory. Another 281 are now in Drupal 8. We were hoping those would be sites moving from the Drupal 7 version to the Drupal 8, but a lot of them actually are new. The new designs, the new product, the new features. The university is finding new and interesting ways to put that through its paces. We have another 61 custom sites that are on Aquariacloud Enterprise or professional environments that we might manage or that other units at the university manage. And then we have 4 Drupal 7, Drupal 8 websites that are not on Acquia that we also manage. So traffic varies. It's generally around 11 to 12 million unique page views per month on the Site Factory platform. Sometimes it does surge. And that there's that benefits of scale when it does surge, either due to true traffic or malicious traffic, which certainly happens given the visibility of a university like Stanford. The platform performs admirably, which we appreciate. And it is managed by our very interdisciplinary creative team of 26 staff members spread across 6 states and 2 countries, because Shay's in Canada. So that is our story.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Shay. It's just amazing. And, Sarah, I love how you gave the perspective of, even just now, of scale for traffic. And then, Shay, I love how you, and obviously sites at scale, I mean, what I have up on the screen right now, that's clearly scale, if I've ever seen it. But then Shay, I love how you looped in, making it easy for that, the 26 team members, and also incorporating design. I just think the marriage of all of those themes and really making, again, it super easy to manage and this robust amount of sites, right? A ton you have there, over 3,000 it looks like total. It's just awesome. So thank you both for sharing that story. Really, really awesome, to see just everything you guys have been doing, and even over the past 7 months, how you've just, really responded to make sure those students, faculty, and the rest of the staff at Stanford felt supported. So really kudos to you guys for that. Great. So thanks again, Sarah and Shay. So with that, I'm going to actually pass it over to Chico. So again, kind of switching gears right now to a more Acquia product centered. We heard about Cloud Next this morning with Breeze during the keynote. And we have Chico here to walk you through in a little bit more detail around, again, what really is Cloud Next, and unpack what's going on under the hood. So Chico, over to you.
Awesome, thank you. And yeah, I just wanted to say for our attendees, we are going to run a little bit long for this. We've got some more great content for the next few minutes. I'm a little bit biased, but please feel free to stick with us for the next 5 or so minutes, and Maggie and I are happy to hang on even longer if you guys have questions. So, Aquariacloud Next. You can see on the screen kind of the way that we're looking at Aquariacloud Next as the industry's first Kubernetes-native but enterprise-grade Drupal hosting platform. I think we all know that with Kubernetes, it's faster scale, you get your architecture self-heals, it's more secure. But, let's go into a little bit of why Aquariacloud Next is exciting. When Acquia first created cloud hosting for ourselves, we learned early on that when you are on the cutting edge of technology, you have to invent the wheel. You are the one learning all the hard lessons and having to build solutions from scratch. And over the years, obviously it's worked out really well for us over the years, but, as we saw the world start moving towards containerization, what we realized is maybe let's not be on the cutting edge on this one. Let's see what happens. Let's experiment, let's learn. And we watched as things happen with Mesos and, Docker and all these different types of containers. And then what we saw is how the industry evolved on its own organically. We watched as, there wasn't just Kubernetes. Amazon created managed Kubernetes, and there wasn't just EKS on Amazon. There are vendors specializing in security and vendors whose entire organizations focus on monitoring and scale and all these things. So what we decided is, why don't we just take the best solutions that are available in the market and bring them together? So rather than being on the cutting edge to start and then falling behind as you try to learn these lessons yourselves, we took a little extra time, we experimented, and now we're bringing together all of these partnerships and all of these advanced services, and then bundling in 10, 11 years of cloud hosting expertise. And we're creating a new version of Acquia Cloud that takes all the lessons we've learned and just provides way more value than even our current platform does today. So if we go to the next slide, you'll see how we've kind of moved from our current architecture to the new architecture. Here we go. So, many of you who are familiar with how Acquia Cloud hosting works today, you've kind of seen the architectural diagram on the left, where, Acquia spins up EC2 based instances for every layer of the stack, and we make sure that the infrastructure is customized to specific needs around web layer, file system, database, load balancers. But what we've learned is that we can actually provide even more infinite scale, more security, more resilience if we work with services like Kubernetes, if we use like AWS EFS, if we pull in advances in database management from Aurora. What we can do is, instead of having each customer on their own dedicated cluster, we can take advantage of the security and performance and resiliency enhancements and build them into a multi-tenant cluster, such that not only are your prod environments high availability, your non-prod environments are high availability, and we can separate out all the software into distinct pods so that you never have to worry about resource contention. And this not only provides benefits at scale in general, it also means that whatever capacity is available to the pool, and you can't see how big my hands are getting because I'm on a narrow window, however much capacity is available to the pool, that's available to your environments and your applications. So you can grow into that scale as much as needed, whether it's a traffic spike, whether it's some heavy cron jobs, whatever it is, the system grows and adapts to that need. So Acquia Cloud Next is taking the best technologies, our best and brightest minds from a decade at Acquia, working with Amazon Web Services and their architects and their well-architected services, taking our partnerships, putting them together, and creating a version of Acquia Cloud that does whatever you need it to do. And not only is it advanced in and of itself, but it allows us to focus our R&D time on even more new features, so we can innovate faster moving forward and leverage AWS advantages and leverage new partnerships more quickly. So the end result is you get faster websites, fewer maintenance notifications, nearly infinite scale, and eventually way more new features faster than you're even accustomed to today. Now, I want to be clear. This is not something we're going to be charging our customers for. This is a free upgrade to all customers. We're going to start them probably Q2 next year. And we'll just start with the simplest sites on our platform and go from there. And we want to make sure everyone is able to take advantage of this technology as soon as possible, because it's a much better overall site experience.
Awesome, Chico. Thank you so much for sharing. And I know that we do have some news after this. I did just want to share. So, I mean, one of the things that it's impressed me so much with the team, including Chico, that have worked on this, is that they are keeping Drupal in mind every step of the way. Just to give you a little look inside, some of the meetings that I've sat in on, but it's constantly like, how can we optimize this more for Drupal? And it's just really cool to see them all working together to make sure not only will this be, the best platform to host websites, but it's the best platform to host Drupal. And it's really going to just, accelerate what we're providing in our cloud platform that supports, all of our customers' experiences. So super cool stuff there, Chico. And thank you so much for sharing. And I know we do have some other exciting news that for Acquia customers today, we are holding a beta. Chico, do you want to walk through, some of the details here?
Absolutely. So, we've got a very small number of customers that we've invited to the Acquia Cloud Next private beta. We're now opening it up to, attendees at Engage. If you guys are interested, you think this is something you'd be willing to help us test before we officially launch early next year, please let us know. Reach out to your account manager. But essentially what we're doing is we're making sandbox environments available to customers right now. And what we're doing is we're cloning applications over to them. And we just want to see, does this site run on Acquia Cloud Next as is? How is the performance? It's important to keep in mind that at Acquia, we have over 7,000 applications, over 70,000 sites running. Every single one of them is a snowflake for a different reason. So this is our opportunity to see, what nuance to every individual application is there that we have to keep in mind, and are we accounting for it with Acquia Cloud Next? But it's also your chance to make sure that when Acquia Cloud Next launches, there's zero to worry about with your application. The upgrade will be seamless, it'll be fast, and you'll be able to take advantage of it sooner rather than later. So if this is something you'd be interested in, we predict right now we've been seeing anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours of total time invested from the participants we've had so far. Again, reach out to your account manager. We'll get you involved in the beta. It's really helpful for us, and hopefully, it's informative for you as well, and it gives you some insights into our timelines and some say into our feature development. So,
Awesome. Thank you, Chico, for walking us through that. So again, yeah, reach out to your account manager. You must be an Aquacloud customer today to get involved. So if you're not and you're just listening in, here's this little sneak peek for you. Anyway, with that, that is the end of our presentation today. I'd like to thank Sarah and Shay for sharing their story of scale at Stanford. Such amazing stuff. Again, going from not quite zero, but 0 to 280 in 7 months, right? That's just a huge testament to really the factory that you've ultimately built for building out Drupal 8 sites. Excited to see what's next for you all. And Chico, thank you for sharing with everyone a little bit of insight into what's going on with Cloud Next to help accelerate our cloud platform at Acquia. So again, if you want to learn more, Acquia.com is your friend. Also, definitely reach out to your account representative. And finally, definitely head over to the Drupal Cloud booth. Chico will be in there to answer any of your additional questions on Cloud Next at certain points during the event. And of course, any sales engineer who's in there will also be happy to help you. Again, head to the lobby, partner pavilion, and then check out the Drupal Cloud booth, and also many of our other really awesome partners. And with that, that's our presentation today. So thank you again for joining in.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Enjoy the rest of the conference.